Douglas are here. This is this is this is my buddy this is my buddy Phil. Phil's been on here twice before. He actually you're one of the OGs. I think you were in like the first 20 or first 30 episodes.
Yeah. Are we on like 500 now?
This is 505. I think you were like 25, which is insane. But this is he taught me the word Douglas, which is it's the culturally appropriated correct, like politically correct. It's the culturally appropriated correct word
Let's share it with the world
of dog. Yeah, so because dog is we discovered is it's actually offensive to I think people from Jamaica or some shit. So the correct term is actually you're my Douglas. And but yeah, no, you're the episode above my parents. So many things have changed. So many fucking things have changed. And but yeah, man, it's for everybody interested. We did an episode called Cults and Mercenaries, and it was about, if I can recall correctly, how you accidentally joined a cult, and then it culminated with like you guys were driving with this guy that like identified as a ninja, and he had like an RPG in his trunk.
It started with I accidentally joined a cult just as being in my early 20s and being a bit of a seeker, a spiritual seeker, and into yoga and stuff like that. And then it's way easier than you would think to find a yoga cult. And then that put the whole thing on my radar. And then so I started noticing cults all over the place. And I had some friends that were in this other cult called the Modern Mystery School. And the guy that runs that thing is called Goodney Goodnesson. And yeah, right. And he runs like a mercenary company. And that was all. They just recently had a big write-up in Vice. And so they finally got their 15 minutes of fame or infamy. So if you want to look that up, anybody out there, it was a big article. I wish they would have done a video on it, but they did this huge article. I can't remember what it's called, but if you look up Vice or Vice News and the Modern Mystery School, it should come up. It's a pretty extensive article. And I looked at my friends' Facebook pages, the people that are still in it now, 20 years later, and they were very defensive. There it is, dude. There it is. That illustration is just magnifique.
On point.
Yeah. But he run Goodney Goodnesson, also some sort of mercenary. They touch on that in the article. And my friend said he was driving around with him, and he had to get something out of the trunk of his SUV, and there was like, some serious weaponry in there, high level bazooka. He described it as a bazooka. I was not there, so I can't say if it was an RPG or what, but it was some serious Blackwater arsenal type stuff.
Which is some John McAfee shit, kind of. And for everybody listening, also we've got a little bit of an internet delay, so I apologize if I'm cutting them off. But for everybody listening, real quick, the last episode we did about accidentally joining a cult, it was, I remember when you first said that, I was like, this is absurd. I need to do an episode with this guy. But then as we talked more, and again, everyone can go watch the other episode. It's like 2 hours long. I don't need to go through all of it right now. But I realized just how easily I probably could have joined one. There was a several-year span where I was really into psychedelics, really into meditation, really into kind of dissolving the structures that I had grown up in, just the Western, conservative, Catholic, 9-to-5, nuclear family. We just really got into like which I think is good for everyone to explore the dissolution of boundaries. And despite still wearing a crazy psychedelic hoodie now,
dude.
I made this.
That was a solid black hoodie, and then you meditated, and
this is what happened. This is the dangers. If you meditate once, all of your clothes will explode from Matrix shit to crazy psychic.
They'll go fractal.
Yeah, for everybody watching this shit, this is the merch. I did make this. You can go buy it in the store, support the podcast, or we can start a mercenary group. But the point is you talked about...
sick, dude.
Thanks, man. Is you talked about just how easy it was to be pulled into one. And I'm someone that did several years where I kind of stopped doing the whole pre-med thing right after I lost my brother. I went to Tomorrow World a couple years in a row. Really long. You really got into tie-dye and shit. Meditation, which, I mean, there are a lot of good facets from that whole aspect of my life. But the point is because I know we're on a limited time right now, the point is that it was probably the only reason I didn't end up in a cult was probably just luck. I probably just didn't approach one. I probably wasn't approached by one. If I had been in physical proximity to one, and whether it was, I'm much more of an introvert, I don't really like hanging out with people, but had I gone and done something social like you did, like yoga, that's the kind of misconception I had. I thought someone comes to you covered in white robes and goes, drink the Kool-Aid, we're going to go ride the UFO. The way you described it, and again, everyone can go watch it, it's a 2-hour episode, is you didn't even realize you were in one until you're in one, and you were like, whoa, what the fuck is this? But the point is, I wanted to say that, so for everyone wondering, how do you accidentally join a cult? That's how. But that was one whole episode. And towards the end of it, you were describing kind of your second brush-in, which is, I think, with the modern mystery school, or the modern school of mystery, Goodney, which sounds like a sound.
Yeah, they had a few names, like they always do. They always have some shell companies, and they have multiple names. When I first heard of them, they were called the Rocky Mountain Mystery School. And then at some point, they just ditched that and went full-on with the Modern Mystery School. And they're out there, and I can say my friends that are in it weren't super zealous, like trying to get you to join all the time, and they were still out there in the world and doing shows, they're musicians or whatever. So I can say they didn't like get all cloistered and isolated from the rest of the world as much. I know they do to an extent, but they still get out there, and they have social lives and whatnot, which is good. I can say there's more than I can say for the Dawn Yoga, the one that I was in. They really tried to encourage you more and more to just cut off everyone else outside of the group, family, friends. They would make subtle little insults and slights at anyone that wasn't in the group, essentially. And I've read that's common in all cults, and really maybe all religions, but especially cults. There's always a devil that's on the other side. And even like these, they might fall into the category of a human potential group, and almost sort of like Scientology or whatever. But I think Scientology's got Cthulhu, so they've got their devil. But the human potential groups will tell you there is no devil, there is no evil. It's all just the universe. It's all the duality. It makes it that creates the whole thing. But you'll find once you're in there long enough that the devil to those groups is anyone that has not received the training. Anyone that's not in the group essentially becomes the devil once you're in long enough.
And I mean, that's having an inside group with minimized communication with outsiders and an opponent. I mean, that's not just how you start a cult. That's also like the 101 of how to take over a nation, right? I mean, you gotta have, right? I mean, what's the most prominent one? You gotta have the Jews. You gotta have the Gypsies, the Roma. You gotta Goebbels, right? You gotta denounce the pacifists as lacking patriotism. I mean, it's on a much grander scale. But how do you look at something as someone that has, so like I have experience, and that experience is talking to you, with someone that has all the experience that you can't put into words or don't have the time to, just things right? I can describe what it's like to do a podcast till I'm blue in the face, but ultimately there's just going to be things that I can't relay. What are things that, from your experiences of accidentally joining one, how does that change how you look at the world now when you see political groups or new music or like a sports team or anything? Has the veil dropped with groups around the world? Do you look at things whether it's left or right or whether it's
Sure.
X, Y, and Z? Like what?
Sure. I'll look at the cult. Being in a cult is like being part of like a group mindset, and we're all part of little groups, and it might be like following a band or being part of a page is and like elements to it.
Can you say that?
The devil is the other, the outsider, right?
The internet cut out. Can you say that again?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to move a little bit closer to my router. Good. See if that helps.
Phil has had extraordinary patience with me today.
There's we're a tribal species, right? So we naturally have evolved to want to be in tribes, and we naturally form like patterns of speech and code words within groups that like you'll in that group, right? And sometimes it's just between you and one friend, and maybe that you have your own inside jokes and your own vernacular, and that can get into a bigger group and an even bigger group. And then I've noticed like military's never been in the military, where it has like this like a cult mindset to it, that like this you've gone through a lot of stuff together. People are like, oh, you understand because you were in the Marines, for instance, or like they suck together, and it creates this incredible bond. And I went through a lot of that exact same sort of stuff in my experience with On Yoga, now Body and Brain. They tried to change their name to escape their karma there, but definitely a lot of similarities just throughout the human experience, and which is, I think, one of the reasons it's so easy for cults to exist. And there's always more. There's always so many more than you thought there were. They just seem to be everywhere. And even with all the awareness of it these days, there's still just more and more happening all the time.
Now, can there be good cults? Because I do agree with what you're saying. There is just as we all want to fuck, and we all want to eat, we all want to sleep, and we all want shelter and a door that locks, we also want to be on a team, right? There's nothing like, whether it's I was in a fraternity my freshman year of college, or whether it's playing fucking video games and it's you and your friend versus two other best friends, but it's fuck them. We're the blue team.
Sure.
There is,
absolutely,
and it feels good. It feels good, and it's not a it's not a drug that damages your body. There's nothing better than you and a buddy playing beer pong. Fuck them, right? It's
sure.
Is there a way to keep right? I love like aggression and getting out, but I go to the gym every morning and have for over 15 years, and that's how I get it out of my body. I don't need to go beat up a neighboring caveman or kill like a saber-toothed tiger. I go lift weights until I'm tired like a pussy, and that's like a healthy outlet to that thing that my primal instinct so desires. I say all of that to say, is there a healthy cult without the negative, give me all your money, cut off your loved ones, and drink the Kool-Aid? Is that sports teams? Does it already exist? Or could it be, do you choose an enemy that you can't actually hurt? Like, fuck depression, man. Yeah, dude, fuck depression. Let's go be healthy and get some sunshine. Do you think there's something like that? Or do you look at it as like, no, it's a slippery slope?
There should be, and I like sports. I like following my sports teams to an extent. I don't get as religious about it as some people do. I think people take it way too seriously, but I think it is like a pressure release valve for certain aspects of our evolutionary psychology, like that need for war, essentially that need for tribal warfare, and we can get that out and by this like proxy war of two football teams going at it, or baseball teams, basketball teams, and so I kind of vibe with that. I don't understand as much like tennis, for instance, where it's just one person. Yeah.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up again. This might be my internet. It might not be.
Damn it! But
you're good.
Okay, but
yeah,
I was saying,
tennis. Tennis.
Tennis players. I get it if you're a fan of watching tennis, but I don't get like rooting for one tennis player so much, and they don't really represent a team or a country or anything other than themselves. And then people just, I guess, identify with them or decide who their favorite one is, and then they root for that guy. But I think following sports teams, the Seahawks, you follow them a religious manner, and I think it's good. It can be good as long as you don't let it get toxic, you know. Like Seahawks lost the Super Bowl in 2014 year. They lost to the Patriots, and it was a good game, and they lost at the end. Like, who gives a shit? I'm just glad that the season went on longer, because we got to like have more season, and they'd won the Super Bowl the year before, and that was fun. It was fun to see, because they basically sucked for my entire life, and but hopefully you're still getting my reception right now.
Yeah.
You're my video on you is locking up a little bit, but
no,
hopefully it's still coming through.
Yeah, I can still hear you. You're still coming through fine. So
okay.
I was
good.
I've never watched him before or anything, but last night I started finding some old videos of when he was like in his young 20s of Tony Robbins, and like, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, I guess give credit where credit's due. I mean, the dude's got presence; he can grasp your attention.
Yeah,
but man,
he's got charisma for sure.
But man, you watch him, and it's like, you know, it's like, you know, meth. Not even once, you know, to like, nope. I'll read about meth. I'll watch movies where Wolf of Wall Street where they're doing cocaine. That's fun enough for me. Like, I've never done cocaine because I'm terrified I'll never stop doing it. I was watching him, and I was like, it's good that I'm watching this on a phone, and I'm watching it on a YouTube channel where all the comments are kind of making fun of him. It's like watching a scary movie with the lights on with you and all your friends, and you're all like, hey, this movie's stupid, right? But you're all scared shitless, but because we're all together, it's like the exorcism of Emily Rose isn't as scary. I kind of felt like that. I was watching Tony Robbins on like a VHS video with like bad audio, and it's in a YouTube comments with a bunch of other people. Oh, and I'll put the video in the description. It's good, but everyone's kind of like, this guy's a huckster. But I could also, part of my brain was like, just like, man, I'm glad I'm watching this scary movie. I couldn't watch this alone on like a rainy night. We just lost Phil. He'll be back, I think. But the video I was, is he back? I think he's back. But the video you watch and you're like, man, if I was in a poor spot in my life, I could see where this would just suck me in, and this guy would take me for a ride. Here he is, he's back. But you watch him, and the dude just, I mean, he captures you. And like, you know, you look at things sometimes and you look back in history and you're like, how could these people rise to power? How could this happen? And then you watch him and you're like, oh man, you couple that guy with like an economic slump and like nationalism, man, you go, oh, I see how Hitler rose to power. You go, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a. Do you look at someone like that and you're like, that's a cult?
For sure. I mean, Tony Robbins has a ton of charisma, very talented motivator and public speaker. But like as people have brought up before about him, what has he done exactly?
Yeah.
He was like, you can, if you have the mindset, you can be rich and powerful like me.
It's, yeah. What has he done?
Yeah, he's sort of like a life coach, but that hasn't really done anything other than he's a really good life coach. And that would all be well and good, but there seems to be like an angle to it. Like he's been known to shill products that were kind of outright scammy, like multi-level marketing schemes. And also he's got a son out there now. It's like his clone, and he's starting to get into the game. And the guy's, I don't know, he's young. He's around like 20 years old, and he's doing this like motivational thing. It's like, well, now wait a second. Your dad did all that. Now you're just like, you've trained under the master. And it actually reminds me of the Swamis in a big way. Like last time we talked about Swamiji and the orange robe guy that was running a cult and was sexually abusing people and was very much the same blueprint as Dawn Yoga. And those guys have a lineage where they like they're an orange robe guru. They take advantage of people, and then they like train a disciple or two, and then that guy carries on the tradition. And there might be good swamis out there. If there are, I've never seen one. Everyone I've ever seen has some sort of baggage or accusations or something behind them. It's just this constant thing. I don't know. Maybe people need to be subservient on some level. That feeds into the cult success rate.
I mean, there might be people that, right? It's like that Avengers movie when like Loki makes his first appearance, and he's like, the deepest held secret is humans love to live on their knees. It's like the one thing we don't want to admit is we love a strong leader. There's a lot to be said for that. You know, you don't think so. Like I like, I'm free, I'm an American. And it's like, is there nothing more inspiring though than like a Dwight Eisenhower like talking to the troops before you're sent to the beaches to be ripped up by machine gun fire?
Absolutely, man.
I mean, yeah.
Christianity.
Sure.
Christianity is like, sit back and just don't worry about shit because some great father figure is going to take care of everything for us.
Yes. And it's back to Tony Robbins. You're right. Because I remember I never heard of Tony Robbins before. I was listening to, I always say this like a fucking hipster douche. I started listening to Rogan in like 2011, and I was like, oh, this is the Fear Factor guy.
Uh-huh.
And I remember him being like, Tony Robbins, and I never heard of Tony Robbins before. And he was like, that guy's odd because he's wildly successful at being successful. He's a motivational speaker for being a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
It's this weird circular, like, and there's a lot of cult like. That's one thing I do, right? Is like Tim Dillon. I think Tim Dillon's the funniest man alive. He's got a Patreon, and he does an episode every week on YouTube that's free, and he does an episode every week that's on Patreon. I legitimately think he's the funniest man alive, and it's $5 a month for his Patreon.
He's hilarious.
Oh, you okay? Good.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's making like $150,000 a month on Patreon. He provides a product though, and it's the funniest. I can't stop listening. I turn blue in the face laughing. I don't put anything on Patreon, and because of that, I don't shill Patreon. I can't run ads on this channel because YouTube won't let me. So I have hoodies that I make that I did design over the years, and at the very least, if you hate the podcast, maybe you even hate the design on the hoodie. At the very least, if you buy this, it's a physical thing. You can use it as a rag. You can clean up your dog's shit. if there's a rainstorm and your car breaks down, you can pull an old moldy hoodie out. At the very least, it's a piece of fabric. You do get something. There's something about Tony Robbins, though, where it's you do this. He promises you heaven. You do this.
Have you seen his the show they did about him on Netflix? It's called I Am Not Your Guru.
No.
It was great. It's a great documentary they kind of did on him, and they followed him around for one of his weekend retreat type things. And it mostly paints him in a good light, but it also probably leaves out a bunch of stuff in there that would not be so flattering. And I'm sure, I don't know if they went over the cost, but the cost for like this 3-day weekend retreat, it might have been 4 or 5 days, but it was an insane amount of money, like $7,000 or something. And the place is packed. It's like a huge, like mega church style, like thousands of people in there at like 7,000 a pop. And there's some parts in there that are definitely questionable. Like there's a woman that stands up and says that her relationship sucks or whatever, and he has her call her boyfriend and break up with him in front of like 3,000 people. And that was just it's a little bit like, if you're not my guru, then why are you like, being a guru to this woman? And there's a couple other things like that. But I remember watching it. I was like, I was motivated. I was a little bit pumped up by Tony, but then I don't remember a damn thing about it. It's kind of like he's a really good cheerleader. And like at the end of it, I was like, yeah, man, we got to go out there and get it. But, fast forward a week later, I was like, I don't remember anything that guy said other than like, we got to go out there and get it.
Yeah.
So I know that there's people that go to his seminars like over and over and over again. It's like, is it working if you have to keep going?
Right? It's I heard Ray Kump, who was early on the Tim Dillon show, he was his co-host early on. He did make a good point. He goes, some people might go and then they do something with their life because they go, I can't go. I've already paid $7,000. Like, I got to do something now, at the very least, to not hate myself. I got to go make a change.
That's like the biggest motivator there is. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I can say at like the lowest depression point in my life in like 2017, there were 2 books that did help me. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson and The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. The latter of which is more of like a meditation kind of book, and the former, which is a lot more kind of crass and fuck it, just do whatever. Those helped when I was at a very low point. Now the podcast there's 500 episodes, there's 5,000 subscribers, it's making money, kind of, not really, and it's like, right, and I feel it's a little working. That it's almost like it's almost like at my lowest point, that was I don't know, it's like I had no painkillers, and those books were like a Tylenol, and they were kind of helpful. That's a terrible analogy. It's like I was fucking starving, and those were like a soggy cracker. I was happy to have the soggy cracker, whereas now those don't really do it for me. If I'm like, I need to find a new guest, these guests have been saying no, why can't I get a new guest? Those books don't really, I listen to it and I'm like, this guy's trying to make money, he's trying to sell a book. But I mean, they actually did have a positive, granted, they pumped me up to maybe get out of bed and change my underwear, but there's something to be said for when you're in a pit of, anyone that knows depression well knows that, that's worth its weight in gold. If someone can talk you to get out of bed and just go brush your teeth, not exaggerating, like that can be a big win on those days. But
sure, there
is something not, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I've been there 5 times, and man, if you gotta go back to the same surgeon 5 times, right? It's like,
yeah,
you might not be the right surgeon. But it's very easy because, right, he provides. Are you standing, by the way? I feel bad. If you want to take a seat or something.
I'm holding this in my hand, pointing it up at me.
Oh, I just felt like Chris Hansen. Take a seat. But so did you see that guy got that there's sexual assault charges coming against that guy?
Chris Hansen?
Yeah, the take a seat guy.
I did not know that he had allegations coming at him or charges.
Allegations, not charges. Then I'm fake news. I'm sorry, but
no, that's no. It doesn't surprise me because the dude's crazy. I saw that he had some sort of internet he sort of had an internet enemy, and he like showed up at his house.
Jesus Christ!
I saw something about that like some months ago. Like Chris Hansen's he's like and he showed up at the guy's house like trying to harass him or intimidate him, and the guy called the cops and was like, "Yeah, Chris Hansen from TV. He's on my doorstep. He won't leave." And so Chris Hansen I loved that show. I thought that show was doing great work. But he's a screw loose. He's got a couple screws loose.
Yeah, right. It did.
You have a seat right there.
Yeah.
You got to have a screw loose to do what he did on that show.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one shanked him.
It did provide kind of like a public service. It probably made pedophiles think twice before going and meeting up with someone, right?
It's right on the knife's edge morally.
Yeah.
Between vigilanteism and whatnot. But on the other hand, those motherfuckers thought they were meeting up with like a 13-year-old boy or girl. So fuck them.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm with you. Man, that's a dangerous show because, I mean, there's no way that they didn't think like one of these days someone's going to come, but they're also going to have a shotgun in their backpack.
Yeah, well, there was that one guy killed himself. Do you remember that part? That was part of the reason they took it off the air originally. Is one of the guys they trapped was like a county prosecutor, and he went back to his house. I think he didn't go into the house, or I don't remember the exact story, but he basically barricaded himself inside of his home. And police showed up, and there was a brief standoff, and the guy was just buying a little bit of time to write a quick suicide note and blew his head off.
Wow.
Yeah. Some hardcore shit.
Yeah. Do you remember the South Park episode? Making fun of?
I know I've seen it because I've seen every single South Park episode there is, but it might have been 10 years ago.
Yeah, no, it's an old one, but basically what happens is like Chris Hansen's doing like a show or something. It's like a live show. It's like at a studio audience or whatever. It's like a little auditorium. And I think Cartman, like, I think he does something where like he invites like 100 different pedophiles to come meet him. And they all come into the auditorium while he's filming, and they see Chris Hansen and they go, "Oh shit." And so they shoot themselves in the head. It's one after another, people showing up, and they go, "Oh shit, it's Chris Hansen!" and it, like there's just
sounds like a reference to. I vaguely remember that episode. Sounds like a reference to the guy that killed himself.
Yeah,
because they were closing in on him.
Jesus, but the thing with like, man, we're gonna get sued for slander. To tie that into Tony Robbins, is he promises. I mean, it's geniusly, and I mean, even General Patton would say, like, about the Nazis, you have to respect your enemy. Your enemy can be the literal Nazis, but to not respect your enemy is stupid. That will get you killed. Whether it's
you got to respect their ability.
Yes.
You don't have to respect their ideology or whatever, but definitely
correct. You have to respect the Nazis' engineering. You have to respect the fervor of the Japanese. You have to respect the brutality of ISIS. You have to respect the ingenuity of Al Qaeda. It doesn't. Yeah, you're right. You don't have to respect their ideas, but you have to respect how they. If you didn't respect them, you wouldn't feel the need to have to kill them, right? There wouldn't be a formidable foe. So you have to respect Tony Robbins's ability to accrue money, in that he offers you something that he's not on the hook for, and that no one else can offer. I can offer you a fucking new car, and like you and I both know that will make you happy for a little bit, but then it's just a car. Even if it's a Lamborghini, you could sell the Lamborghini and, you know, put your kids through private college, sure.
Yeah.
But eventually, you know, but what Tony Robbins offers is peace and success in all of your endeavors, euphoria, ecstasy. I mean, that's what he said in the video I watched of him last night. He goes, you're gonna reestablish the love with your husband that you guys felt when you first met. And every time you walk in the door and he hears your voice, he's gonna be in ecstasy. That can't happen. Even my grandparents, rest in peace, they were married into their 80s until my grandfather died and then my grandmother died. Happy couple, big family, big grandkids, strong couple, played backgammon every day their entire lives. Just, you know, it's the kind of like you see their love and you go, that's what I want one day. Even they're not in ecstasy all the time. They're still arguing with each other. It's the happiest couples you find still have bullshit to do with each other every day. The idea that all of your relationships are going to be successful. Don't you want that? 10 times more successful than they are now. Don't you want that? You want to make more money? How much more money? The sky's the limit. He offers them heaven. And if they fall short, well, then that's on them, not him. Or you just got to come to another seminar. And you got to respect that business, right? You got to respect like a heroin dealer. I mean, hey, you create a need, right?
That's the genius turn that like these like modern like self-help gurus and modern MLMs have taken on. They take on this angle that if you fail is because you didn't work hard enough, you didn't believe, and it's et cetera. So if you're giving up, it's not because we scammed you out of your money. It's because you didn't work hard enough.
Yeah.
You just didn't hustle. You didn't grind hard enough.
Yeah.
Sorry, bitch.
Yeah, it's on you. But we can help you. We can help you. You just got to come back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you got to stay with us. You got to keep on bringing in that money.
Yeah, right.
And eventually you'll get there.
Right? It's like I bought like my first like big boy purchase in my life a couple months ago. I bought myself like the newest, biggest iPhone. I've always, I'm incredibly grateful, but like I always had like 5 years behind on the iPhone because it was always just cheap.
Sure.
Just get an iPhone 2 and everyone's on the 7, first world problems. And I was finally like, you know, I contact guests for my podcast on my phone. I was like, it's a business expense. I need a fucking point is it's a nice iPhone 12. It's a big, sexy screen, a lot of storage. If this doesn't work, I go to Apple and I get a new one because I bought a product that was guaranteed to have this much storage, this Wi-Fi connectivity, this ability, this frame rate, this refresh rate. That's a physical product. If my car stops working, I go back to Jiffy Lube and go, hey, you didn't fucking do the thing with the oil. And they go, oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, fix it.
But when I offer you ecstatic euphoria, when I offer you the love that you once had when you were young, you can't offer that. And but I mean, at the same time, like, you know, we do live in a free society. Like, you're free to get burned. You are free to be stupid. I don't know, man. I don't know. But, you know, I think it was Tim Dillon that said, he goes, hold on, Tony Robbins' son's a speaker? He's like, wait a second. It's like, hold the fuck
You know what? Exactly. Going back to the question you had a few minutes ago was like, are there good cults? Reminds me of, I think it was a comedian, I don't remember who, but it was on Joe Rogan, and they were like, you know, whenever I watch these cult shows, the first half an hour, I'm always like, wow, this sounds great. This is a bunch of sex and community, and then it gets sour, then it turns sour. And that's the thing that always gets me about cults is like, you had something really good going, and you had the abilities to bring people together for a common good, and then you fucked it up by wanting to put your dick in everybody. And that's always, over and over and over again. It's the worst thing, from the Nation of Islam, that Malcolm X was the really good work for African Americans, and then they just couldn't handle all sorts of things. They couldn't handle Malcolm's success, so they like ostracized him, and then he left, and they killed him. And the same thing with Dawn Yoga that I was in. It's like there's a lot of good happening, but then they just push it too far. They want everything. They're not happy with just having 35% of you. They've got to have 100%, 110%. You got to just turn over everything, and they'll just keep pushing you and pushing you to where you either join or get the fuck out. Join all the way or get out. And same thing with all these cults on Netflix. It's the same thing. The first 15 minutes to 30 minutes of the documentary, it's these people are having the time of their lives. It's the happiest they've ever been. They've got a community. They're feeling connected like a tribe. And then there's always some guru at the center that's rotten, and it fucks the whole thing up.
Yeah.
And so I don't have that kind of charisma, but if I did, I would start a cult, and I wouldn't fuck anyone. Maybe just one person. That was my partner. But not have a harem, not like the leader of the Nation of Islam, the guy they called the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He knocked up like a bunch of his secretaries as like a 70-something-year-old man. That was the final straw for Malcolm. And that's why he left. And then if you've never read Malcolm X's autobiography, read it. It's fucking riveting. It's so awesome. He went from being like a hood on the streets of Harlem selling dope, selling reefer, to such names as like Duke Ellington and Ella Fitzgerald. He even went on tour with them as like the resident weed dealer because he knew where to get it all along the East Coast. So he rode with them on these trains. And then he got into trouble, went to prison, and that's where he got into Islam. And then he came out, was in the Nation of Islam for 10 years, and was like that's where he did most of his talk about by any means necessary, and was sort of saying like we're not for violence, but if violence is what it takes, then that's what we'll do. And it was all his talk, a kind of divisive talk about the white man versus the black man, and that's what he's most remembered for, unfortunately. And then in the last like 2 years of his life is when he left the nation and really did more talk about like peace and love and unity, more along the lines of like the hippie ethos, and said such things as, I've learned now that it's not a battle of races, it's a battle of the oppressors versus the oppressees versus the oppressed. And they killed him, man. Blew him away.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like what Bill Hicks said. You know, it's like what happens when there's someone that remembers it's just a ride, and they go, hey, love each other, be nice, we're all one consciousness, and there's no such thing as death, we just need to remember that we are all God. We kill those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without fail, man.
Yeah.
Every time.
It's like Jesus killed, or Gandhi killed, MLK killed, Reagan wounded. Yeah. He goes, we always let the demons live. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's always.
Speaking of cults too, and mindset and brainwashing, you've been doing some great work on your pod in regards to this like vaccine mandates and stuff like that. I'm with you. And I appreciate what you've done. I saw the one you had on the other day with the inventor, the pioneer of the mRNA.
Robert Malone.
Yeah, Dr. Robert Malone. Dr. Robert. And it's great, man. I'm out here in Seattle, and it's a very liberal area, and I could be described as a liberal person, but I'm not on board with mandated vaccines. Yeah. And I'm for choice, for body autonomy, and it really should not be required.
breaking up.
Of course, as soon as we talk about the vaccine,
it shuts down. But, yeah, no, you're right. Body autonomy.
And they've convinced everyone that, like, it's like a cult mindset that it's like, oh, you got to get it or you're a fucking retard, you're a yokel, you're anti-science. It's like, okay, for anti-science, how about all those scientists, including the pioneer of the technology himself? Like, oh, no, we don't talk about that. We only talk about the prevailing winds, you know, and, you know, no, it's a bunch of bullshit.
It's insane. And, you know, as, you know, I did one of those episodes and someone messaged me and said, thanks so much for doing that. I was like, yeah, man, of course. And they're like, my best friend or like my older sister went and got it and she's a fucking moron. And I was like, no, she's not. This guy was like, what do you mean? And I was like, that's the very thing that I'm trying to work against, is this blanket mindset. I was like, the whole point of having this individual on and for arguing for the free flow and free discussion is so that we can get at the truth. The very problem with the prevailing winds, as you said, is the science is settled, shut the fuck up, suppress all opposing information. That's not science. Science is fearless deconstruction and rebuilding until you find that which cannot be taken away, and that's the core.
Yes.
When people go, I'm with you, Tommy, I know someone that got the vaccine, they're a retard. I'm like, no, because the whole thing is we don't know what all the effects are. Maybe we have free flow of discussion, and maybe we find out that this vaccine is the single best thing in human history. How? I don't know, but maybe we do. But if we don't keep an open mind to all outcomes, or it's the worst thing, and there's 10,000 deaths.
I'm all for people getting the vaccine if they want it.
Knock your socks off.
Yeah, go for it.
Go nuts. Go wild. I don't fucking want it. Get the fuck away from me. It's you know, I can be described as conservative, but one thing I've always said that doesn't fall in line with conservatism is, you know, I went to a private Catholic high school and middle school. You couldn't have hair, and I know I got to let you go in a minute. You couldn't have hair over your eyebrows, your ears, or your collar. So I had hair that went right up to my eyebrows, or my ears, and my collar for like 12 years until I went to college, and it was a public college, and they didn't give a fuck. So I cut my hair this short, and it's been this short for 12 years. I hate when people tell me what to do. Same thing with YouTube. When they tell me I can't talk about the vaccine, not only am I going to talk about it more, I'm going to go get the fucking inventor of it. Like, it's in me. It's who I am.
It's great work, man.
Thanks. And because of that, and I've said for years, I personally, as a biology student, as someone that got into medical school and pharmacy school and published research, thank you, is that I do think a fetus is a person. Biologically, I think it is. However,
I'm with you.
However, I'm not a woman. And I cannot know what it's like to have that. So as much as I do think it's a person and I do think abortion is killing, I think it's killing. I also think they should be allowed. Can I argue that morally? No, I don't think I can. Yeah. But at the very core, what I do acknowledge is I'm not a woman and I don't know what that's like. I think it's terrible. I think they shouldn't. But just as I flip my shit when people tell me how long my hair can't be, I've tried to acknowledge my whole life that as much as the idea of abortion creeps me out, I also know that there's no way I can understand what it's like to be a woman, and therefore...
Yeah, and it's going to happen.
Yes, and exactly, and it's going to happen anyway. Therefore, I go, hey, I don't know, so yeah, go get it, because I can't know.
Yeah, if it's going to happen either way, it might as well provide it safely.
Same thing with drugs and guns.
And then, and then it's going to be on them. The karma and the moral conflict is going to be on them.
It's for them, and they are a free adult and in a free American society where that is for them to choose, just as it's for me to choose to do a podcast instead of medical school. So I say all of that to say, despite being conservative, I have always said I do believe in the my body, my choice. So when a bunch of people are now saying on the right, my body, my choice, and people on the left are going, well, you've never been that way for abortion, fuck you. Yes, I have. And as you're saying, you're like, hey, as a liberal, it is my body, my choice. The idea that you're going to take let's get rid of all the semantics and let's break it down into what it really is. I'll let you go in 2 minutes. There's there's the whole phenomena of like, when you describe everyday things and just to make people realize how absurd it is. Like right now, what are we doing? It's me and my buddy Phil, and we're doing a podcast. Well, what is that really? Oh, this is another sentient human being, another sack of fat and protein that's conscious, and we're talking through a flat plasma screen at light speed with electrons and protons going through some fiber optic internet created by DARPA in the 60s so that the government could communicate during a nuclear holocaust. And we're talking about things with learned languages that I'm making sounds that are doing, spaces and vacuums and collapsing and making different sound waves, and it's going into your ear, into your cochlear fucking whatever, the incus, the malleus, the stapes, those three bones, and they're vibrating in such a way that it then goes into your brain, and because you talk the same language that I do, you then deconstruct. You go, oh, whoa, that's weird.
So wrap it, brother.
But there's a term for it. I don't know what it is, but we'll just call it. Whatever. We'll just call it stoner. Like, whoa, dude, right? So let's call what a mandatory vaccine really is. Is it someone coming on or demanding that you go somewhere with someone else who takes a sharpened metal syringe, and all sharpness is pressure. Pressure is force divided by area. That's all a tip of something is. So it's something with immense pressure that can cut, no different than a blade. It's a syringe where they're going to put something that goes into your bloodstream, the ultimate autonomy, the kingdom of you, the kingdom of Tommy, the kingdom of Phil, the same kingdom of a woman that should decide whether or not she wants an abortion. They're taking this thing. Okay, what is it? Well, it's a chemical. What is it? Built by who? A couple corporations that are making record profits that are guarded against any allegations or liabilities against them. Yeah. And there is a global coordinated conspiracy of censorship against anybody talking out about it. And there are more deaths in the last 12 years from this vaccine than there have been in all other vaccines combined in the last 50 years. And you want to put it into my bloodstream. Why? Is it because of that virus that's going around where it literally turns you into a zombie and you bleed out of your eyes? No, it's not that. It's a cold that does kill some older people, but if you're younger, there's a 99.7% chance you're going to survive. Fuck off. That's what it is to me. And
Amen, brother.
You know what, man? I probably would have taken it without thinking twice if they had just said, yeah, if you want to get it, come get it. I honestly probably would have been busy. Sure, I should get a pandemic. There are older people in my family. I'll go help out. But as soon as they started saying you can't talk about it, I was like, why? And then
red flag.
And as I said with the podcast, it's one thing if you censor me, I get it. I'm a 30-year-old. We're talking about cults, and I'm wearing a psychedelic hoodie. Sure, whatever. Maybe you don't want misinformation on your company, your private company, YouTube. When you're banning the guy that invented the technology.
Yeah, that's flagrant and obvious. Yeah.
It's yeah, man. So I appreciate that, and I'm trying to put it up more, and I think there is a sea change happening because that video hasn't been taken down yet, and I think that it's because Trump's bringing a huge lawsuit against YouTube. I can tell as someone that uploads every day that YouTube isn't censoring nearly as much as they were 2 weeks ago. So there's something happening.
Feels that way, yeah.
There's something happening internally, but I know you got to go. You got your shit to go do. Sorry I had to cut this one short. And,
it's all good. We can go for just another minute if you got a minute. I was going to ask you.
Yeah. I got all time.
You said you meditated shortly before we started. I want to know what your meditation technique or routine is.
Yeah, sure. So I texted Phil and I was like, "Yo, we got to push it back because I have to meditate before I do a podcast." I started meditating in high school and I did it in college every day. I did it college tactically so I could study longer. I could study for 90 minutes before I couldn't focus anymore. So I'd have to take 30 minutes and meditate. And I used it as a way to get better grades, not necessarily as an inward depth thing to go in deeper. When I started the podcast in December 2019, I started meditating again. I've been meditating since roughly 2008. I've tried so many different techniques and thises and that's, and You got to do it this way. You got to do it that way. And what I can tell you after, over a decade, once a day, so over 3,650 times, right? 365 times 10, and then that was times. I've meditated probably about 5,000 times, anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour. I can say that the technique I have found that works the most is you sit on a pillow, like Indian style. You want your butt a little bit raised up. Make sure there's no noise around, so I turn on a fan next to me, white noise. And I just sit there with my eyes closed for about 20 to 30 minutes. Oh, we lost him. Is he back? I think he's back. His audio is cut out. It says you're muted. You back?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, sorry. I said all of that to say I've tried every technique that there is, and I think Ram Dass said it. He said, don't get confused, don't mistake the destination like with the technique. So you maybe try one technique for 1 month and you love it and it works great. You try a breathing technique, but then after a month you don't get the same effect. So you try a new one where you think about, I don't know, the tininess of the earth and the galaxy. I've done that over a decade and a half, and I'm always like, well, which one's the right technique? And finally I realized, and who knows, maybe in a decade I'll look back to now and say that's not right. But right now, after 15 years of meditating every day, I can say the best technique I found that works is find a quiet place. I put a fan next to me with white noise. I sit on a pillow on my bed, like Indian style, right? I close my eyes. I put my hands on my lap like that. And I don't necessarily try to sit up straight. I don't slunge. I just, whatever happens. I close my eyes and I sit there for 20 to 30 minutes. I have found that when I try to do a technique, breathe in, breathe out, I am the mountain, no, fuck all that. When I found, don't think about anything, well, that's thinking.
Yeah.
When I found, count to 100, breathe in, no. When life is short and I will one day be united with the God, no, that doesn't work. We are on a little rock around the sun, around the fucking center of the galaxy, no, that doesn't work. I found that you just sit there and just try to focus on the fact that you are here right now. And what will happen is you'll be there for like a second, and then you'll just start kind of, I gotta do this, I gotta talk to Phil, I gotta underwrite it, I gotta do this, oh wait, no, I'm right here, I gotta set up my new computer, I ordered a new Apple, I got the new iMac, that's gonna be great, start uploading 4K. I'm right here, I gotta do my dishes, fuck, I gotta go get more fiber because I've fucking been constipated. No, I'm right here. And what happens is for the first 5 minutes it's just a tornado of thoughts, and then you start getting these little moments of silence for maybe 2 or 3 seconds at a time, and then another minute goes by of crazy thoughts. And what happens is it's kind of like, it's like a graph of like dropping a bouncy ball from like a ladder. One bounce, and it finally, and so how do you get to that point? The only thing I can deduce after 15 years of meditating is there's no way to get to that point other than sitting and waiting.
Yeah.
And it
just, you got to develop that muscle, right?
You can't. It's what Alan Watts said. When you see a little puddle and it's all muddied up, the quickest way to turn that puddle into clear water with just some mud at the bottom is to not touch it. If you try to go, no, let's push all the mud down, you just poof it up more.
Yeah.
I know that was a really long way of answering you, but no, you just sit there and you just wait. You can't do nothing. You can't be like, where is it? You have to do next to nothing. Just, here come the thoughts. You notice them, and here they are. And man, just kind of weird. Man, telephone poles are weird. I wonder where they make telephone poles. How old are telephone? I'm right here. Here I am. And then it just get quieter and quieter. And you really only get like a minute or two of just peace. And I found that's all I really need. And then it's like a bell curve. You can start getting more and more thoughts, and it's,
you found what works for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it comes down to for everybody in just about everything.
Yeah.
There is no one size fits all.
Correct.
What's medicine for one person is poison for another person.
Correct.
We all just have to find our own way.
Correct.
To find what works.
Correct. I would say, Phil. It's freezing up again.
With me.
You there?
The thing, if you can hear me,
I can hear you.
Are we back?
Yeah.
We back online?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I heard Wim Hof on the Joe Rogan podcast like 3 or 4 years ago, and I tried. At first, I tried the cold showers and the breathing, and I stuck with it for a while. But then after like 6 months, I found it really wasn't doing much for me. And like you said, the breathing at first, I felt like I was on DMT, but then like that effect wore off, and then I wasn't getting like a reward out of it, and I was less motivated to do it. And then the cold showers too, they didn't help me with some chronic like tendonitis I had. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm not doing that anymore. But then last year in the fall, I decided I was going to go full on. I was going to try to go back to it and give it another shot. But instead of cold showers this time, I was going to go full on ice bath. Jesus. And so I got a chest freezer. It's like the size of a coffin. And you seal up all the seams with like silicone, and then you fill it up with water and set it. I have a temperature control module and whatnot, and I set it up. And long story short, I've been doing ice baths for like 8 months now.
Oh yeah. And
it's been incredible for my physiology. It's like this thing that I can't run into an old friend without bringing this up, because it's been so amazing. I do it just every day unless I'm traveling or something. But even then, I'll try to find a river or something to get into. I get into my ice bath for 10 minutes a day, and that's been a really powerful meditation for me, because I have to focus.
Yeah.
on like, and I have to be in the moment. I'm not thinking about anything else. And on top of the meditative aspect and mind sharpening, I had chronic headaches, and it's pretty much 95% cured my chronic headache problem, which by chronic headaches, I mean like every single day, not migraines, but just a low grade, dull, like dark cloud in my skull. And I haven't had any allergies this year. And usually I have seasonal allergies. I'll have my head all plugged up and sinus headaches and whatnot. And that's totally not happened at all this year. So that's my stump speech.
Fuck yeah.
Is not necessarily the Wim Hof method, because I'm not doing the Wim Hof prescribed method, but it did lead me to doing the ice bath, and it's fucking intense. It's not for everybody, but I encourage people to the cold exposure and just heat extremes, or either high or low. I think it's fucking incredibly powerful. And it started out the first time I set it, the temperature when I first started, I set it to like 45 degrees, which is really fucking cold anyway. But I got in with a goal of 3 minutes, and I couldn't stay in more than like 15 seconds. The first time I did it, I was like, what the fuck, man, I've made a great mistake and wasted a bunch of money. But then the day 2, I was able to stay in for like a minute. And then fast forward a few weeks, I would stay in for like 2 minutes and then get out for a second and then hop back in for like another 90 seconds. And then fast forward a few months, and now I'm staying in for 10 minutes. And then once I got up to like 10 minutes at 45 degrees, I started lowering the temperature. And then so now I've got it down to, I've got the temp setting at 34, and little, ice forms on the surface, and I have to break it up. And then I get in and I do it, and each time I feel like I've done something. I conquered something.
Absolutely.
I've developed a superhuman ability. If someone falls in a frozen lake, I got about 10 minutes.
It's my very rare. No, but what you're naming is exactly what it is. For, again, in college when I was meditating, it was more of there was a bigger structure behind it, and it's the same thing I do now. Every morning I do not get out of bed until exactly 2 hours before the well, today was different because it was much later, but like, let's say most podcasts I do at 2 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wake up at like 11:30 and I'll lay there until noon, and then I'll get up and I know I'm fucked. So I get up, first thing I do, make my bed. Next thing I do is I put on workout clothes that I have folded on the floor at the end of my bed. Put them out the night before. Put on the workout clothes, go to the gym. I do a mile on the treadmill. I do like just fast walking. I don't like running. I just do like fast walking, like a 15-minute mile. I do weights, and I come back here. First thing I walk in, AirPods, don't even put them in the little case. Just AirPods, pop out, drop them, just strip down, cold shower immediately. You get in, you just turn it on, and just go.
Yeah.
And just head, armpits, back, so immediately you get the worst parts over. Shave, shampoo, shower, whatever. I get out, I dry myself off, and it's normally I've got about 40 minutes until the podcast. Brush my teeth, put on clean clothes, come in here, make sure the laptop's on, internet's working, lights are working, camera's working. You don't want any of that shit to fuck up during the podcast. By then, I've got about 25 minutes. I know that if I don't meditate, it's not just that I don't do a good podcast. I know that I'm stressed the rest of the day. My anxiety and depressions get the best of me. I want to drink a lot more. Like liquor, I'm always like, fuck, I just need a drink. Like, to have these cravings for like bad habits. So I know that when I have 25 minutes and it takes me about 20 minutes to get the good meditation, it focuses me. I'm like, I got 25 minutes and I got Dr. Robert Malone. It's not, it's different with you. I'm friends with you. I can shoot you in text and say, hey, I need 10 minutes. With most guests, I can't do that. And it's kind of like the ice bath. I'm like, it's go time. I got 25 minutes to put out a good pot. I got to get ready for it. You sit down and it sharpens your mind. And some meditations are better than others, but when you get that little moment of...
Yeah, let that mud settle.
Yeah, you go...
Get that clear lake. Yeah.
Get to the center, and there's you just need a couple moments of... It's like lining up the magnifying glass just for a second, and it lights the leaf on fire, and then you can drop the magnifying glass. The fire's going. For me, I just need that couple... It's like that whole thing is like an hour and 59 minutes of foreplay, and I just need that 1 minute of coming, where I'm at the center, my body completely relaxes. It's just like I drop into the depth, and it's just like, you are a perfect being. Everyone is a perfect being. There's nothing but love. All the trials in your life are meant to make you grow. You are safe. Your anxieties are just an illusion. Let's conquer today. Let's be grateful for what we have. And it's just that one moment.
Amen. Yes.
And then by the next day, it's worn off, and I got to do it again. And it's just... And there you go. That's from me and Phil to you for free. You don't got to buy a $7,000 fucking ticket. It's fuck you, Tony Robbins. Welcome to the cult of Tommy and Phil.
Yep. Starting a cult.
Motherfuckers.
It's rolling.
It's rolling. I know a lot of Delta Force guys, so we can also start a mercenary group. And yoga, so we can do that. And we're going to start...
Tommy's got it covered.
We're going to start the ice chest cult.
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that is the way.
Yo, I got to run a Rite Aid and get some scripts. And then...
I hear ya. I'm going to go pick up my boy.
Ordered my new iMac 7 weeks ago, and it got here today. And I'm fucking ready to set that bitch up.
Yeah.
So, dude...
The best part of a new Mac is turning it on.
Yep, and then it's downhill. But it's just, hey, it's the moment of open it up and it's brand new. It's like meditation.
Oh, yeah.
It's a brand new one. Then as soon as you do it, you're just waiting for the next. But dude, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, man. Thanks for coming on. And
thanks for having me, man. Keep up the good work.
Always, dude. Thank you for being here. I love talking to you, man.
It's been an honor.
Fuck yeah. No, it's been an honor to have you on, buddy. And Everybody listening, go back and it's in like the 20s or the 30s or something. It's called Colts and Mercenaries. It's a fucking great episode. But yeah, man, until next time, take it easy. God bless. Stay safe.
Until the next episode.
Fuck yeah, brother.
Love you, Doug.
Love you too, Doug.
Love everybody out there.
Godspeed. Stay safe. God bless America. God bless all you Dougs out there. Be good to each other. One love.
God
and
bless.
Your body, your choice, right?
Amen.
Peace out, dude.
God bless.
Recording stopped.